everybody, it's Sharon Boggin here from Pintangle about threads today, embroidery threads for creative embroidery. The first, I'll get straight into it. The first, there's a lot on the market, a lot that people will no doubt know is first type of thread is the stranded cotton floss that most people use for cross stitch and projects like that, or when people start out, because this is these are readily available and it's what people have been exposed to most. They most often start with stranded cotton threads. Now, there's nothing wrong with them. They come in a great range of colours. For some types of embroidery like thread painting and things like that, it's what you want to use. But there are so many other threads on the market for creative embroidery that is just fun. Like, they're just fun. That's why you do it. And really, if I'm honest, that's what it's about. The threads that I mainly reach for and use a lot of are what we call pearl threads. Now, there are 3 sizes in pearl. They're not, pearl is not divisible. You just thread it and that's the way, and away you go. That's it. You just thread it. There is pearl 12, pearl 8 and pearl 5. So this is a pearl 8. This is a pearl 12. It's a DMC pearl 12, pearl 8, and this is a pearl 5. Okay, so this is a pearl 5. So this is thicker than the 8. It goes, the numbers go down the thicker it gets. There's also a pearl 3, but I don't really use that very much. It's very thick. 5, 8, 12. This is what pearl 5s look like from DMC and Anchor. That's an Anchor one. But this is a DMC one. So that's the way they come. And for pearl 8, I'm sure we've got that's a DMC pearl 8. And this is another brand that I buy all the time called Wonderfill. And the other brand I really like, I'm not associated at all with these brands. I just like them, or I'm not affiliated. It's Sue Spargo's range of threads too. They're great. I just like the colour range that they come in. The other one I have is this one's Finker. Finker is another brand that I use constantly. So they're the 3 main ones for pearl 8s. It would be Wonderfill, Sue Spargo. Sue Spargo's range comes in pearl 8 and 5. Wonderfill, Finker. They're great. The other pearl threads are watercolors in Karen. This is a US company. I get mine from my local needlework shop called Crafty Frog. All the Canberrans would know Crafty Frog. They're online. If you've got a local needlework shop, support them. We sort of want them to survive. We don't want to just be able to shop online. It's really nice to be able to go into a local store and feel and see the threads that you're going to buy or the fabric that you're going to buy. So support them. These come from the US. They're 3 strands of pearl 5 twisted together. Now, you split them like you do cotton floss. They come in a great range of colours. I enjoy using them. They're just good fun. I love the variegated. They've got plainer looking ones. I love the variegated threads. That's why I buy them. And then there is another brand, which is a South African brand called the House of Embroidery. And the reason I like their threads is that they're not quite so shiny as the DMC. I don't know whether the camera will be able to pick this up, but their threads are quite flat looking, which for slow stitching or some of the styles of stitching that are sort of lend themselves to the Japanese styles, these threads are not so shiny, so they're matte. They're more matte. They're lovely threads and sit beautifully on the fabric. So that's another brand I use. This is more of their stuff. So hang on, I might be able to actually show you on this. You might, hopefully the camera will pick this up. So this is DMC. I think this is DMC. And whereas this is a more matte pearl. It's still a pearl thread, but it's not so shiny. So I really like their threads for that. And then if I really want to go shiny, I go to Rayon. And so these are, sometimes they're called art silk, and the art stands for artificial rather than being pure silk. They're not, they're Rayon. So these threads, Rayon threads, Rayon can be a bit of a devil to work with, but if you just moisten it as you go, just run it over a damp sponge and as you stitch, and it will be much more tameable. Also, you can also use beeswax. So these are like a floss, same thing. They've got they're divisible, so you can use just a few strands. Great for some types of thread painting. You know, if you want a bit of shiny. Here's another type of rayon. This is actually a crochet thread, but that doesn't matter. Like this you can stitch with this, and it's a type of rayon. This is tulip. I buy this stuff to put in my thread twisties actually, but I love using it, so hence the ball has found its way from the stock box to my box, but we won't say too much about that. Then there's this range of thread, still on rayon. I'm still talking about rayon. This is Dazzle, which is a Sue Spargo colour range. And what this is it's got a bit of metallic in there with rayon thread, and it is beautiful to use. It's lovely. I really enjoy it. There's quite a huge range of colours. So there's those. While I'm on metallics or different threads like that, I'll just mention these. Now, this is probably one of my most favourite threads. I think it's for a sewing machine thread. I'm not sure. It's this stuff, DMC. This is antique silver, and this is antique gold. I've lost the label, which is usually a catastrophe in my sewing room because then I can never remember what it is I'm using. But this thread I've used so often that I know that's that stuff. This is from Madeira. It's their machine embroidery metallic thread. I sometimes use that, not a lot. They produce quite a few metallic type threads, which are lovely to use. So this is nice, whatever it's called. So once again, viscose. Viscose is just rayon, by the way. Viscose and 65% viscose, 35% metallic. So that's a rayon metallic mix, which, like the Sue Spargo threads, it works well. Then we've got, this is another metallic, it's like a sewing machine thread by Krennic. So these are all from Krennic. And this one's called a fine braid. So as you can see, it's about the thickness of a pearl 8. So where's pearl 8? Oh, there's pearl 8. We can just maybe, yeah, no, it's about the same. So that's quite useful. Then we've got, this is a softer metallic thread. Shreds a bit, as you can see. Also Krennic. And what are they calling this? Polyester metallic. So that's another type of thread you can use. And these are all the same as these. So that's fun. They're fun, basically. And then there's this type. It's called a, they don't name things very well. It's a 1/8 ribbon. So it's like a braid, a fine braid. But that's the thickness. Use just a tapestry needle to, put it in a tapestry needle or a chenille needle. Use it in that. And then there's various small companies. Oh, we'll talk about another type of thread here. This is cotton embroider. It's a matte cotton. DMC have a range, and so does Anchor, I think, if I remember correctly. But it's just a cotton thread, which is matte. It's a lovely thread. It sits beautifully on the fabric. So that's what are they calling it these days? Oh, cotton embroider, same. Yeah, it's all called cotton embroider. Then I've got this type of thread. Right, this is from a firm called Threadworks, and they over dye threads. But these threads are silk, and they're lovely. Silk stitching with silk is very, very luxurious, but expensive. So if you're just learning to embroider or an intermediate stitcher on a budget, if your threads are extremely expensive, you may find that they just stay in a place where you look at them, but you don't actually use them. And you want threads that you can pick up and use and not feel guilty if something, if your stitches muck up, basically, if you muck it up. You need to be creative. You need to be a bit free with your materials, Now, I love silk, and I will just use silk anyway. I don't care what the cost is. I just have fun with it. But for many people, that is not really a realistic way of going. They need to feel at ease with the fact that something doesn't cost necessarily a lot of money. But anyway, these are silk threads. There's other types of silk threads here that I've got. These are like a stranded silk, so you can split them. Nice for thread painting, but, by the time you get to thread painting, I think you're an intermediate stitcher anyway, so this is the way and you would probably know about these. But anyway, so these are silk. Come in a really handy packet. You just pull it from the bottom like so, and it comes out. It should be coming out smooth. Now, there we go. Then there's some threads that are more novelty threads. So these are an interesting thread. What they are is actually a tubular knitting ribbon. I'm just pulling this out now so you can see how it's with a metallic thread in the middle. Now, you can pull that out and use it. You can scrunch this up and use it, or you can use it the way they have made it, which is as is like that. And it actually can, because the drape is lovely, you can actually stitch with it very easily. It looks thick, but it's not. You can just stitch with it happily. It's good fun. And then there's gimp. So this is from, oh, hang on, I'll just talk about this. This is another metallic thread. I haven't used this yet. It's from Anchor. It's just, I saw it the other day and I bought it and I thought, oh, I'll give that a go and just see what happens with it. So it's a cotton with, it looks about pearl 8 size, maybe pearl 5. I'll give it a go and see what it's like. It looks fun. It looks sturdy, looks strong. So I'll give that a go. Then there's these various novelty threads. Now, this is gimp. And gimp's quite stiff, but you can stitch with it, and it's really good for any stitch you really want to sort of sit proud on the surface of an embroidery. And all sorts, it comes in all sorts of interesting colours. These ones are from Colour Streams, Australia AU. Yep, Colour Streams AU. And they overdye and produce all sorts of interesting threads. They have this stuff, which is another one of those ribbons. It hasn't got a like this when I was talking about this one. It's a, I'll just take it out so you can see. Otherwise you're not going to be able to see. This is why all my threads are a wreck. I'll just pull them apart. And then I do that and I lose the tag and I think, what was that? But anyway, so this is like a, it's actually a little tube, and it's a knitting ribbon. That's where I first saw them. They were knitting ribbons. And you can do all sorts of stuff with this. It's great for any sort of interlaced sort of stitches where you're lacing or threading stuff on top, or using to stitch with. They produce nice, bulky, interesting textures. So that's that thread. Once again, it's a Colour Streams thing. It's called Marrakesh. How's that? This is another Threadworks. Threadworks is US, I'm pretty sure. Doesn't say on their label. You don't say, mate. You don't say. Never mind. So these are an overdyed thread. Very sort of tinsely, as you can see. This is, you know, I would probably mix this with something else. In other words, I would thread this in the needle with a pearl 12, something like that, just to, it sort of looks as though it's going to shred and carry on. So that's the way what I do. I would do that, but you would get a very interesting effect with those two. And these are new to me. They're made in Germany, and they're called the Painter's Thread Collection. So, and I think I better open one up so that we get a good squizzy. They've got gimp as well. I won't open up that one, but I will open up this one. Just have a good... Now, it's quite fine. Something like this I would put on a bobbin so I don't get it in a tangled mess. There we go. It's quite fine, but it's quite strong too. So that, I think that's going to be a really interesting thread to use. This brings me to my point really, is that with creative embroidery, you've got so much on the market. This is just a tip of the iceberg. There would be hundreds of threads out there if you internationally, no matter where you go, there's various brands of interesting embroidery threads. And it's a great fun way of adding different textures and sheen and looks to your embroidery. And, make it interesting, last but not least, but we've got silk ribbon. Now, there's a whole area of embroidery called silk ribbon embroidery, and obviously that's what these ribbons are made for, people who are interested in doing silk ribbon embroidery. But you can use those threads in other types of embroidery. You don't have to be limited to just doing silk ribbon embroidery and pretty flowers. You can use it for anything. So there's that as well. That's another Colour Streams thread. Now, storing them. If I come across something like this, I'm going to put those very quickly onto one of these types of bobbins. And the other time I put stuff on, this is just to keep this from going into total tangled mess, which it can do, particularly if it's got a rayon core or is made of rayon. Rayon is just a delight for getting itself in a muddle. When threads get like this, or these two are a good example. I've lost in the this still, I don't know how this has happened, still got its little tag, so I know what it is. But usually by this stage, I've lost this. This has fallen off. Like these two. And I don't know the number anymore or who it's from or whatever. They get lost. So very often I will put, and usually they sort of find they disappear down the bottom of the basket and never to be seen again, down the side of the couch, whatever. And also, like, usually I've got fun, new, fresh looking threads. So, this becomes the poor cousin, really. It's a case of, oh, yeah, okay, I've got that. Should use it up. But I think I want to play with this one instead. That's what happens. But to make them interesting and attractive again, very often, because that's often the case, what I do is I put them on these cards, these little plastic or cardboard cards. And then when I'm doing something, I put them in a box like this. And then all of a sudden, they look interesting and fun again. And that's the way I trick myself into using all my threads. But here's another example. Also, I've got a lot of samples from the stitches. Just push that over there. The thread twisties. So these are my thread twisties that I sell in the shop. and they're a range of threads. There's rayon there, there's wool, there's silk, there's a bit of everything, so that people can play around and have an interesting time. And it doesn't cost too much, but in there is some of the novelty threads like this one. So this is that rayon thread again, so that once again it's the same stuff as this, only this is skinnier, and it's not, I haven't got a thread through the middle, but all of them I have used at various stages. So this was another one from Shop Stock. I love this colour. This is from Shop Stock too. And this range, they're just obviously I've got cotton pearls and some of the rayon and the regular stitching threads in these, but I've also got novelty threads for people to have fun with and explore. So this is another thing that was, it's a metallic thread. It's stitches well. All of them you can, have a decent drape, so they stitch well. Here's another one. This one's great fun. It's a rayon ribbon, so it's stitches up a bit bulky, but not too bulky. Anyway, so I won't go through this whole box, but that's it really. My main point is that don't be hesitant in trying different threads. They're wonderful fun, and they really will add a lot of life to your embroidery. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. Please subscribe and like and do all those things for me. And I'll see you next time round. Bye.